Hey everyone, hope all is well. Hope you're having a great weekend. So this is going to be a quick little stream. I just actually wanted to reach out to folks out there, founders, business leaders, and get your opinion. So again, this is going to be a quick little post. It's Saturday. I got to get back to the family here, but I've been pondering on what I'm going to articulate here in a second for really several, I would say probably the last couple of years. However, it's intensified drastically over the last couple of months. And that is, how do we approach company building in today's world, right? And so what does that mean? Well, I could probably go on a lot of different tangents to sort of define this today's world thing. However, AI, we all know we're all using AI here today. I've used 3 AI products as I did some work here today. Um, we are all trying to figure out what the best approach is to either like re-platform, rebuild our businesses on top of AI native solutions or infrastructure or bolt on AI features, right? There's a lot of questions. And I think like that is something that you have to figure out as an organization what makes the most sense for that feature or for whatever you're trying to accomplish, right? So, real quick, again, for you out there, how are you approaching kind of wrapping your head around how to build your business? The founders out there, CEOs out there, CTOs out there. I mean, just folks who are thinking about company building. How are you thinking about this? Like, I have never seen the way that things are moving ever. And I've been doing this kind of stuff for, 20 something years now, built, a couple companies. And the idea of like building for tomorrow is not a new idea, right? Like we've, for the most part, have had to do that. We've had to kind of see around the corner as a business. You have to see around the corner as a leader. You have to see around the corner, and that's kind of table stakes for being a leader, founder, etc. And in technology, it has moved way faster than any other industry, right? For a lot of different reasons, let's just say. And I just have never seen it just move this fast, right? You could say in the past, all right, yeah, well, if this happens and that happens, well, these are some possibilities, and it might take a couple years. Sometimes it happens. A lot of times it never happens. And there are certainly these sort of trends or fads out there around particular types of technology and so on and so forth. We don't have to dive down that rabbit hole, but I think we've all seen stuff that really got pretty hyped up. But this AI stuff, this is real, right? Like, and it's not like, again, some sort of futuristic kind of pie in the sky kind of things. It's not something that is, in my opinion, this is of course my subjective opinion, it's not something that investors or VCs or markets are inflating just to make a bunch of money or whatever, right? Like, it's happening. I was on a bus the other day and I heard people that historically would fall into a category of non-early adopters or of technology or non-tech savvy. I'll just leave it at that to kind of frame what I'm trying to say here, who were talking about ChatGPT and AI as if it was like, I mean, they were using it in ways that were incredible, as if it was like them going around the corner to 7-Eleven, right, to buy a soda or whatever, right? And so my point is, like, it's really penetrated, I think, all levels of socioeconomic sort of profiles or demographics, I mean, et cetera, right? It has hit, it's here, and it's disrupting a lot of different things. I think we're just at the beginning of it. But as a founder, and you're sitting there and you're going, okay, well, what do we do in terms of building roadmap and product and building organization? You saw, I think it was the Shopify CEO, right? There was an article a couple months ago about the CEO saying we're not hiring you folks unless you can prove that AI can't do it, et cetera, right? And that is based off of what AI can do here today. Let's just call out a particular role within an organization, such as content marketing. I've been a content marketer for a while. I love content marketers. The content marketing organization or that team's got to be freaking out if you're a content marketer out there, just given all the stuff that you can do, right? Now, does it replace you? All that kind of discussion. I'm not sure, right? Necessarily. I think it depends on the design and size of the organization, all kinds of stuff. Does it, in my opinion, in my experience, does it allow you to do things at a fraction of the time and with a fraction of the resources? Obviously, yes. I mean, unless I'm missing something out there, comment in the comments here. Let me know if you disagree, you're seeing something different. But absolutely, you can do way more. I mean, way more things, right? You could theoretically be pumping out, I don't know, tons of articles a day, right? Spending your time refining it, working with whatever AI you're using, whatever platform, Perplexity, Claude, of course, ChatGPT, are just really awesome tools. And so if you think about that, as a marketer, you have the ability to also be a general sort of generalist, right? Where you're just being able to rely on these tools to maybe lean into the areas that you're not historically as strong, right? If you're a product marketer who really understands stuff in a pretty unique way, messaging, positioning, et cetera, maybe you're a salesperson formerly before joining marketing or becoming a marketer, and you're able to really have that sort of mindset. Like, you can now rely on an AI tool again to be a content creator. So that's just one example. I'm not an engineer, but I know that there are tools out there, Lovable and Cursor and all these tools out there that are writing code. I'm just hearing it all the time, right? And can you build a full product or a full feature or whatnot? I'm hearing it's happening. I know non-technical folks who are building products out there that are pretty good looking, and I'm like, how did you build that? They're like, I use one of these tools, right? And I'm just going, gosh, if this individual who's very, very non-technical, who's like less technical than I am, and I'm pretty non-technical, can do this, what does that mean for product building and company building, right? What does that mean for valuations of companies? If a product is much easier to build and you can build something in hours, days, whatever, right? Versus the old world where you needed a team, you needed a front end person, you need a back end, you need a designer, you need someone who understood product and could sort of distill ideas or customer. Let's just talk within B2B context, customer feedback and market insight, et cetera, and create product from that. What does that look like? What does the organizational design look like of the future? Again, I don't know. I can theorize, right? I know what we're doing. I know what a bunch of organizations that I work with and are friends of founders and those leaders are doing today. But I don't know. Notice I said today, but I don't know what it's going to look like in 3 months, 6 months. And that is the rate that things are just moving. I'm talking to investors, friends who are having the same sort of experience. They're seeing that what they built 6 months ago is obsolete. Jason Lemkin, and I think I have the link. I'll look for the link. He posted an article. I'll go ahead and post it in this feed here, or in the comments of this post. That was really, really interesting around like building for your or supporting your old product. Let's say you built a product 3 years ago, 2020, let's just say 2022, 2023, like pre the explosion of what AI and generative AI, et cetera, has done here today. Like it's it's likely that that's obsolete, right? And but let's just say you have customers and some traction there and those sort of things. What do you do? And so, anyways, I'll go ahead and post that link because I thought it was an awesome post, and it really spoke to a lot of what I experience as a entrepreneur. But I think what a lot of us are experiencing out there, and that is, you got to do both. You got to support and kind of figure out what to do with the old product and your customers that are on it and those sort of things, but then also build for the today and future. And so an example of, I think, building for today, but then being ready for it to just change on a dime without much notice, is this idea that maybe, okay, let's just say you're building on LLMs here today, and all the generative AI stuff, whether it's like some proprietary native thing or you're using one of the APIs of some of the these platforms out there, these foundational platforms, that might be interesting. Maybe it's prompts, maybe there's some sort of magic there, right? But it is a product that is built on, again, AI, but that humans are still interfacing with. But then you have this agentic stuff, right? That's here, right? I'll go ahead and post another link to, I'm sure you folks, I think I wrote an article like 2 days ago or something about this. And this was just the announcement from Google announcing the agent-to-agent communication protocol, right? And yeah, I know that was just last month and those sort of things, but you're starting to see the giants, the infrastructure of the internet, starting to think about this, and not just think about it, but actually deploy protocols. And it's the early innings, but I would have thought that kind of thing would take years to do in the past. And I don't trust myself with that anymore. I just, again, things are moving so fast that it may be, a couple months, right? Who knows? I don't know, right? I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think that we have to think about that stuff. And so again, this agentic stuff, do we build products for humans that are being assisted by AI? Or do we build for agents that are going to go out there and do stuff on our behalf, right? Our entire organization is going to be just agents, right? Now, I know that there are people out there who are saying they're doing this right now. I'd love to hear your feedback on this. I'm not doing it today. I know there's some great tools that have been emerging where I'm seeing like one marketer running a bunch of agents and just replacing a bunch of their, that headcount. Again, I'd love to hear your feedback if you're doing that out there. But again, back to company building, what do you do? I don't know the answer. I mean, I think that I'd love to hear what you guys are all thinking out there, but I think you have to think about both. And that's just the reality of where we're at right now, where we are at with in this transitional period between infrastructure, between organizational design at a much higher level, how we're actually operating as a species, right? I know I've sort of posted some stuff that's more esoteric in nature, but I just, it is that profound, right? And again, it's not my opinion. You just look around, see what's happening. And so I know some folks have kind of used a couple of the analogies from the past, right? So like when we transition from on-premise servers, and for the folks out there was a world, maybe that for the folks who have not or are not part of that generation or part of the newer generation, there was a world where you had to have servers at your office and all your data was, located locally before the cloud or the web-based world, right? And so a lot of folks are saying that organizations in the past were still building using this old model or with the on-prem stuff. And then they had to shift to a cloud-based world, right? And so, yes, that happened. I just, and they're saying that is like the level of, I don't want to say severity, but the level of profoundness. Whatever the word is. Hey, for you grammar folks out there, sorry, I don't know. I'm blanking on the proper grammar, but the point is, like, I actually think it's much bigger than that, because when we shifted from on-prem to web-based or the cloud or whatever, right? That was infrastructure. You still needed humans to do stuff, and maybe those humans kind of shifted what they were focused on to, to work on some new stuff. But maybe there was, right? Like I still kind of remember those days. I used to support at a startup years ago, 21 whatever years ago. I remember I was supporting a product that was on-prem. But when we ended up shifting to the web-based product, we had both. Actually, it's a really good thing to point out, is like we had the old on-prem product, and then we had the new web-based product, and that was the cool kind of, upcoming thing. But we had both, and I don't know how that company is doing now. I don't know if it's still around. However, the future was always going to be the web-based, cloud-based thing, right? And I'm 100% sure that if they are still around, they don't have any on-prem products available. But again, it wasn't as profound of a philosophical, existential, organizational design sort of thing here, right? Like, it wasn't like, hey, a bunch of robots are going to do this work. And so again, how does this impact how we think about company building? I'd love to hear what you have to say out there, because I'm pretty sure all of us are thinking about this, right? If you're not, what are you thinking about? Anyways, that's my little rant here for Saturday. Again, I've just been thinking about this a lot. I had a couple notes here I wanted to share with folks. I think I pretty much covered the notes here. One thing that I did want to kind of ask is, like, this is not only impacting us as business builders or company leaders, this is also impacting our prospects, right? And our customers and those folks. And so how do you future-proof, right? If you're that organization and you're thinking about, all right, well, I'm going to buy the LLM thing that works here today, but how do we future-proof for tomorrow if this agentic thing happens, by the summer or whatever, right? And I think that this is a valid thing to think about, and put yourself in the shoes of your prospects and customers, and at least have an opinion, right? At least having a perspective around how do you future-proof for these things, right? I don't know what this necessarily means for your organization, but if you're in technology, you're likely thinking about this and hearing about it if you're a leader. But this is not just technology. Actually, my last point. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but anyways, so my wife loves this little restaurant, casual food restaurant around the corner. And so I went to pick up a salad for her. But on the way to that area, I called, and someone picks up, this very, very nice person, what I thought was a person. But then at the end of kind of the introduction statement, hey, how are you? This is, so-and-so. By the way, I'm an AI. I was like, okay, cool. But it was like, the experience was so great. I would say that, at least in my experience, it's not always awesome when you call places and you get some employee who's picking up and, whatever, unhappy because they've been working for 8 hours and tired, et cetera, et cetera. Point is that the entire experience was an AI. And this is a little sandwich shop around the corner. This is not a, unicorn SaaS company. This is, again, mom and pop level kind of place. And so, as I mentioned earlier, this is not just happening at the, highest or levels of organizations or these, the most innovative companies in the world, which is historically where this type of disruption happened early on. um, it's gone from like 0 to 1 or whatever number at all levels of society is what it's looking like. So again, we have to think about this. I'd love to hear what you folks think out there around company building and future proofing for your organization and your roadmap and your investment, but also as it relates to having a perspective or opinion for your customers. Because right, ultimately you are a partner and you want to help your customers succeed and keep up with their investments and the times and be able to see around the corner. So, anyways, have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Again, go ahead and comment. Let me know. Like, what do y'all think? Take care.